So today we're going to begin the second half of Unit 7, U.S. Foreign Policy from 1865 to 1914, and we are going to go back a bit to Andrew Johnson's administration. Now, we are pretty familiar with American foreign policy already, and has America expanded all the way across from sea to shining sea by the 1890s? Definitely, right? I mean, if you look, we got all of this territory in 1776 when we declared independence. We got the Northwest Territory in 1783 when we signed the Treaty of Paris. We got all this territory right here in what? Louisiana Purchase. We got the Adams-Onis Treaty in Florida back in 1819. We got the tip of Maine in the Webster-Ashburton Treaty. We got Texas and Oregon in 1846 with the Oregon Country Treaty and the Texas Treaty. And we won all this land from Mexico in 1853 after the Spanish-Mexican-American War. So, has America expanded from sea to shining sea? Yeah. But is America done expanding? No, because there's this philosophy that we had in America, that America had the God-given right to continue expanding. What was that philosophy? Manifest destiny. That it was our God-given right to expand west, and we were going to continue expanding west. And if America wanted to be a global power, would we be able to be a global power if we stayed only within our borders? No, we had to begin expanding beyond. And so, we start doing that. But folks, foreign policy is a bit complicated, and you have to understand the different types of foreign policy. So today we're going to begin with an activity looking at the U.S. foreign policy spectrum. And so I want you guys to jot this down in your notes, and make sure you guys leave some space below it, because you're going to be writing down events underneath each of these headings. So go ahead and jot this down in your notes. This is the U.S. foreign policy spectrum. And a spectrum is just like a broad range of stuff. Like from hottest to coldest, there's a spectrum there. Or funniest to like most depressing, there's a spectrum there. And you put people on that spectrum. Today we're going to go ahead and put U.S. foreign policy events on this U.N. foreign policy spectrum. So go ahead and jot this down real quick and we'll talk about it. I don't know if you can tell, but I feel better. So big difference. Okay, so the four different types of foreign policy, and actually there are many, many different types. We just kind of simplified it to four for our purposes of this class. But the first type of foreign policy is isolationism. And the basic idea behind isolationism is America does not what?
Interfere.
Doesn't want to interfere. It doesn't want to get involved. Pretty much America is being a loner. They don't want to get involved. They want to stay away. Are they going to get involved in other people's problems?
No.
Are they going to invade other countries? Definitely. Do they care what happens to their friends? No. Maybe they don't have friends. Okay, that's really what it comes down to. Next up is the foreign policy of collective security. Under collective security, this means like America's protecting their friends. Okay, America's being a team player. This doesn't mean that America is going to go out and like stop people when you're getting beat up. This means, hey, don't mess with my friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like you're willing to work together with other people. This doesn't mean that you're going to go off and actually do anything, but you're going to be willing to work together. Like, it's just like forming a gang that doesn't, that only eats at ice cream shops. But when someone messes with your gang, then you're like, oh, now we're going to throw down. But other than that, we're not going to take over any other people's territory. We're not going to go mess with anyone else. We're just going to eat ice cream. But if you mess with our friends, then there's going to be trouble. Does that make sense? America's a team player. They're part of a group. They're willing to help their compatriots. but they're not going to go out and start attacking people randomly. They're there more for protection. They're there to work as an alliance of sorts. The third type of foreign policy is internationalism. In internationalism, America is going to go out and intervene. But are they intervening as a good guy or a bad guy in internationalism? As a good guy. So let's say, for example, I don't know, a country's being invaded by another country, and America tries to stop the invading country. Would America be acting like a world policeman? That's the idea. It's America trying to save the day. That's the world policeman. And lastly, imperialism. Okay? In imperialism, what might America try to do? Take over other countries. That would make us a world bully. So here's what I want us to do, folks. I'm going to go ahead and put 30 seconds on the clock. I'm going to read you an event or give you an event, and I want you to talk to your partner quickly and tell me where on this foreign policy spectrum should that event fall. Okay? So you have 30 seconds for each event. First event is the farewell address. Please talk to your partner to decide where would you put this foreign policy event. And then write it down wherever you think it falls. And then jot it down when you're ready. Underneath the corresponding category. Okay, so let's go with Jackie. Where would you put the farewell address?
Under loner.
Why would you put it under loner or isolationism?
Because the farewell address, he said to avoid alliances, and you kind of said that the team player was more like kind of joining with other people.
Right, so the idea is he just wants to stay away, not get involved, avoid permanent alliances. Very good. So that would be where a farewell address would go. Next foreign policy event. Monroe Doctrine. So where would the Monroe Doctrine go? So, figure out what it is first, then where would you put it? Yes, you do need to know what the Monroe Doctrine is to answer this, but I'm not going to tell you. Where would you put it? Okay, let's go with Leilani. Where would you put the Monroe Doctrine, in your opinion? Why would you put it under team player? Mm-hmm. Precisely. Monroe said he doesn't want Europe to intervene in Latin American countries. Do not colonize, do not intervene. That was the whole idea behind the Monroe Doctrine. So you're saying collective security or team player. Does anyone agree or disagree with that? Anyone want to put it anywhere else? Well, I think it's a good place to put it, right? It's not like we're going around and beating up Europe, but we're saying, hey, do not intervene or mess with our friends. Very good. Third event, Mexican-American War. Where would you put America on this foreign policy spectrum during the Mexican-American War? So talk to your partner, decide, and jot it down. So talk to your partner. How was America behaving during the Mexican-American War? Okay, Luis Guandique, where would you put it? Imperialism. Why would you put it under imperialism? What happened? Like, what happened? Why would you put it under imperialism? Why did we fight this war in the first place? It has to do with California, and what did America want? We wanted California, we want all this land, so we did it because we wanted the land. They said no, so we started the war. So very good. I would agree. Mexican-American War would fit under world bully. Here's the next event. The next event can fit into actually 3 categories. The event is World War I. Where would you put World War I? Talk to your partner and decide where would this fit in. I'll give you a minute for this one. It can fit into up to 3 categories if you can figure out which 3. So what role did America play during World War I? WW1. So jot it down into 1, 2, or 3 categories. Where would you put World War I? You have about 20 seconds left. Okay. Pedro, where would you put America? Quiet down. On this foreign policy, where would you put it so far?
Team player.
Team player. Why would you put it under team player?
Because in World War I we went to help. I guess we didn't originally start with it, so we went into it. So it's more like collective security than anything else.
Right. So we're helping our allies. Definitely. Did you put it anywhere else?
World policeman.
World policeman. Why world policeman?
Because it's international affairs.
It's international affairs, and were we trying to stop other aggressors? The idea is that we're trying to stop the bad guys. Team players, like we worked with other countries. Right? We had alliances, the allies. We did that. Did you put it anywhere else?
World bully.
Why world bully?
I know it wasn't loner, but I guess world bully. The only reason why is maybe we're going into for more for our own benefit.
I think people could argue that it might be world bully. Okay, would anyone else agree that it is world bully? Okay, so who would argue that it's not world bully? Okay, let's go with Abel. Yeah, I think you could argue that in the beginning of World War I, America served as an isolationist country. We did not want to get involved, so we actually stayed out of the war. Because the war began in 1914. America doesn't get involved until 1917. So we began as an isolationist country, and then something happened, and then we joined the war afterwards, joining our allies and trying to make the world safe for democracy, hence world policeman and world democracy. Let's do one last one, folks. Let's do a modern example. The war on terror, the war in Afghanistan and the war in Iraq. Where would you put that? Where would you put the war on terror? So, talk to your partner, the war in Afghanistan, war in Iraq. It can fit into 1, 2, or 3. You decide. It's more of an opinion on this one. Where would you put the war on terror? The war in Afghanistan and Iraq? Where would that fit, in your opinion? No. Based on what you know and understand, where would you put the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan? What do people say about it? Why did we go to war in the first place? If you remember. Iraq. Okay, let's go with Rosa. What do you think? Quiet down. Where would you, in your opinion, put the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, the war on terror? Where would you put it? Why world policeman?
Because, like, we wanted to, like, didn't we want to, like, put democracy in there, over there, and, like, we wanted to help them.
So that's part of it. Maybe the argument, oh, we're trying to make it more democratic because it's a dictatorship. Any other thoughts about where we would put the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, or the war on terror? Why did we go to the war in Iraq in the first place, or the war in Afghanistan? What was the reason for it? 9/11. So you would say, oh, we're doing it because of 9/11, because of Osama bin Laden, and Also, we said that Iraq had what, so we have to invade? They had weapons of mass destruction. Oh, we have to stop them because they have deadly weapons. What's the other argument, though? Oil. We went for oil. We went for influence. That we went for natural resources. So those are arguments you can make as well. So are both valid? I think both arguments can be made. So foreign policy, folks, is not a simple yes or no, we are or not involved. American foreign policy is actually quite complicated because there are many, many actors involved when it comes to the global stage. But just to give you just a taste of what global policy looks like. So today, folks, we're going to begin this conversation of American foreign policy. We're going to jump back in time. Let's go back to 1865 with President Johnson when the United States buys Alaska. So in 1865, folks, William Seward, who was Secretary of State at the time, he helped organize the purchase of Alaska for $7 million. Okay, so in 1865, William Seward convinced Congress to buy Alaska for $7 million. Who did we buy it from? Russia. We bought Alaska from Russia for $7 million. Now, why did we buy Alaska from Russia? Anyone know why we bought Alaska from Russia? Anyone know? The reason why we bought Russia from Alaska is we were afraid Russia was going to sell it to who? England. And why don't we want England to own Alaska? What was that policy that we were pushing around at the time? The Monroe Doctrine. So we wanted to prevent Russia from selling Alaska to England because of the Monroe Doctrine. That's why we bought it. But is $7 million a lot? It is. $7 million is quite a bit. But again, we did not want England to own Alaska, so we purchased it from Russia for $7 million. And people criticized William Seward, saying, Seward, why did we buy Alaska? And they made fun of him, calling the purchase of Alaska Seward's folly, or Seward's icebox, saying, Seward, I can't believe you made us waste $7 million on a piece of ice. Because that's all it was to them. What's a folly, by the way? Like a mistake. A folly is a mistake of some sort. In any case, William Seward died being ridiculed for the purchase of Alaska, saying, what a stupid waste of land, William Seward. Why did you buy this? You wasted our time. Now we have to govern it and control it and make sure other countries don't take it over again. Thanks a lot, William Seward. What a waste. What we didn't know was that Alaska, we eventually discovered, was full of what? Oil and gold. Worth far more than $7 million. We're talking billions of dollars. The Anwar province up in Alaska, folks, is America's oil reserve. In the event that we ever stop running out of oil, Alaska will provide us that oil. It has a lot of oil. And it has a lot of gold. And so, Seward died not realizing that his purchase was not a folly. He never knew. He died thinking that his purchase was a mistake, and he got made fun of it till his death. Oh well. Thus his life. Anyway, folks, so that happened. So, new imperialism takes over thereafter. So today we're going to begin the conversation of the causes of new imperialism, because it's new. It's not the old imperialism of what other countries? Who's been imperializing already? The British, the Germans, the French. We're talking about new imperialism, and that's the role that America is going to take, new imperialism. And again, for those of you that don't know, imperialism in the most simplest definition is when a stronger country takes over a weaker country to create an empire. Very much like the way I'm implanting mind control chips in all of you to one day be able to take over the world with my empire. Ready? Almost. So causes of new imperialism is what we're going to be talking about today. Alrighty. So, the first cause of new imperialism is economic interest. Why do we as a country want to take over other countries? How do we benefit economically? So one is natural resources, that's the obvious one. But look at the cartoon. How else would we benefit in this cartoon by taking over China? But yes, expand, but economically, how would we benefit? How would our economy benefit? How would our businesses benefit if we took over China? It would create a market. Because once we take over China, what can we make them do? Buy our stuff. And so the other reason why economic interest was a moving force is because imperialism created new markets. It created new markets for us to sell our goods. And also, can we buy cheaper goods from China, let's say? What if China made cotton cheaper than America? Should we still keep making cotton in America? No, let's buy it from China, ship it over to America, make t-shirts, sell it back to China. Right? That's what we do. And so again, the idea is that it's economic interest. You know, we give all the components to China to make our iPhones, then we ship those completed iPhones to America, and then we sell them back to China. Because people in China who make them can't buy them in China, or until recently they couldn't buy them in China. They shipped them to America and then sold them back to China at a much higher price than what they made it for. Because we're using them for the raw materials and their markets. They can't make the product and sell it to themselves. Okay, we're being the middleman in that regard. So economic interest is the first reason. Second reason, oh, by the way, also note that America is doing this also because we're taking over the world via our culture, right? I mean, what are we selling to the world? Just like soda and burgers? No, we're selling a culture. Okay? These are all the countries in which a Coca-Cola directly produces Coca-Cola around the world today. Pretty much everywhere. And by the way, folks, when we have a McDonald's, let's say in China, how does America benefit from that McDonald's in China? When they buy at McDonald's in China, who gets that money? McDonald's in America does. And so, we're taking over the world with every burger and every soda sold. We're influencing the world with our food and our culture. It's one way we're dominating, folks. And if they start buying McDonald's, what are they not buying? Local foods, right? They're not buying from their local, restaurant. So that's how we're taking over the world. Second reason. International Darwinism. Why are we taking over the world, folks? Why are we allowed to take over the world? According to international Darwinism, why do we get to take over the world? Because we're stronger. We're politically, militarily, and economically better. So we're taking over the world because we can. We're taking over the world because we're superior to everyone else. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. We don't want to do this, but we have to take you over. The idea is the reason why we're taking over the world is because we have to. Because it is our responsibility to do what to you? We wouldn't call it brainwashing, but what would we call it? Why is it my responsibility to take over your countries? Because I have to civilize you. I have to do it. You think I want to do this? You think I want your natural resources? Oh, it's not about the natural resources. It's because I have to. You heathen, stupid, stupid people. Someone has to take over your country and show you how to live. Because you don't know how. Because look at this cartoon, folks. Here are all these good American children, Texas, California, Maine, Idaho, reading their books, while these ignorant, stupid children can't even sit still. Puerto Rico, Cuba, Hawaii, the Philippines, just sitting there. They can't even sit still. No, Native Americans, they're trying to get some kind of education, but they don't know how to read. The Chinese are not allowed because of the Chinese Exclusion Act. And of course you have slaves working. But it's a pretty good cartoon that gives you a really good idea of kind of how everything's working in America at this time. But folks, you think I want to take over your country? I don't. In fact, they said the people most affected by imperialism was who? Was not you guys. It was me. Those most affected by imperialism, those most hurt, was not the countries being taken over. It was the people who were doing the taking over. This argument was made by White Man's Burden, by Rudyard Kipling, saying, hey, the worst part about this is I have to take you over. So here's the poem. We'll end here today with Rudyard Kipling's The White Man's Burden, which reads, take up the white man's burden, send forth the best ye breed. Go bind your sons to exile to serve your captives' need. To wait in heavy harness on fluttered folk and wild, your new-caught sullen peoples, half devil and half child. Take up the white man's burden, in patience to abide, to veil the threat of terror and check the show of pride. By open speech and simple, and 100 times made plain, to seek another's profit and work another's gain. So I'm working for you. I'm not getting anything out of this. Take up the white man's burden, the savage wars of peace. Fill full the mouth of famine and bid the sickness cease. And when your goal is nearest, the end for others sought, watch sloth and heathen folly bring all your hopes to naught. So I'm feeding you, I'm healing you, and yet your stupidity is ruining all the progress that we've made. So take up the white man's burden, no tawdry rule of kings, but toil of serf and sweeper, the tale of common things. The ports ye shall not enter, the roads ye shall not tread. Go mark them with your living, and mark them with your dead. So here we are working so hard to bring civilization to you. I have to kill your people. You think I want to kill your people? I hate it. But I'm doing this for you. I'm murdering you to save you. Don't you get it? That's why I'm doing this, and you don't appreciate anything that I'm doing. I am risking my life to murder your people to save you. And I don't even hear a thanks. Is this a kind of a weird sentimentality to have?
Yeah.
I'm killing you to save you, and I don't even get a box of chocolates. I don't appreciate that one bit. I'm going to stop killing your people. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? Anyway, folks, we'll end there today, but we'll continue this conversation about American imperialism. Wait for the bell to ring, and I'll see you guys later.